So I'll tell you what we get from this. I mentioned this, when I did my algorithmic psychosis rant, last week or whatever, that people end up growing up living in this world where the only news they get is that all cops are bad, all cops are racist, and it's because, like you said, Ian, they're looking in this vast ocean, and they see this one tiny dot, and it's the only thing they're showing to people. Check out this story from the Daily Mail. Minnesota fourth graders are given equity survey on race and gender and are told by teacher not to skip questions, even if they don't understand them, and not to tell their parents. Let me just show you one of the questions. Number 46. Do you currently identify yourself as female, male, transgender? Transgender people have a gender identity or gender expression that differs from their assigned sex. For example, they were born male, but now identify as female or something else. And you can choose female, male, transgender, non-binary. Why is a fourth grader being told to, first of all, out themselves to teachers should they actually have a trans or non-binary identity? Why are the kids being handed this stuff on equity in this survey, given these questions? What I think is these teachers, likely millennials, grew up getting exposed to the social media over the past 10 years, nothing but extremist content that generated rage. Their whole worldview is built on it, and now they're giving it to the kids. They are transferring that tenfold to children who are not going to have the same opportunity to have, millennials didn't completely grow up on the internet. To a great deal they did, but I know a lot of people who didn't get internet until they were late teenagers. At least you had some opportunity to use a phone mounted to the wall, a touch-tone phone or something.
Word.
Right.
It took you 10 minutes to write one paragraph.
These little kids are not only going to grow up on social media, being inundated with nothing but critical race applied principles, but they're going to be getting it from their teachers as well. And you know what? I can't remember who it was. I should write down the quotes, but someone on the show said, parents don't care about their children at all. And it's because, and the example is that they're being sent off to institutionalized learning facilities where the parents don't know what they're being taught, don't know what they're being exposed to, and to a great deal don't care. Now, a lot of parents do care. Steve Bannon's bet is that come August 15th, when the parents find out what's going on, they're going to lose it. But I think it's a really good point if you think about it. Parents say, I'm going to send my kids to school and then hope for the best. Now, by all means, I understand some people may have normalized this behavior. Some people probably get really offended by me saying this, saying, Tim, you don't have kids, you know what you're talking about. But I can say this. If you are not, at the very least, actively asking your children what is going on at school, show me your assignments, show me your books, then I don't think you really care what strangers...
Or just spending time with them, God forbid.
Well, yeah, but that's like, obviously, if you care about your kids, spend time with them. What I'm saying is, I get it. Send your kids to school. I think there's issues. I think you should homeschool. I think we should do more of the pod learning. I was homeschooled quite a bit. I think if you were really concerned about what schools were doing to your kids, you'd, for one, you'd pay a whole lot of attention to the school boards. You'd pay attention to the school curriculums, and a lot of parents do. I think a lot of parents don't. And that's probably why they're the more lefty Democrat voters.
Don't you see pushback in American society right now against what you're talking about? And this goes back to what we're saying, because critical theory is a critique, right?
What do you mean by pushback?
Well, I'm saying all of the school board meetings that are going viral, and all these parents and these kids and teachers speaking out, and the way in which this whole concept of critical theory is a big race theory is a big conversation right now, and that's important.
I agree. How many school board battles are there right now?
Well, that's how the tide turns, though. It's like we're in the midst, we're at high tide right now, and it's shifting.
Do you know how many school board battles there are?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm genuinely asking if you were familiar, because I don't have the answer. I have a general estimate.
It's a good question. I mean, we run them all the time because I think it's it's a government feed, so it's non-commercialized, so you can just run it as is.
Have you guys seen any hard numbers on how many school boards are in? I've seen one article that mentioned it was like between 600 and 700. School boards are in revolt.
And how many are there in total?
There are 98,271 public grade schools as of between 2013 and 2014. 98,000. So we hear these stories and we're like, the parents are fighting back. Yes. At how many schools? Out of the nearly 100,000 schools, are the kids are all being indoctrinated. I tell you this right now. That fourth grader is 9 years old?
Yeah.
9 more years until she votes for a Marxist.
If you're a teacher and you're telling the kids not to talk to their parents, you are enacting child abuse on that kid. That kid has a right and a duty to communicate with its parents. If you're a parent, ask your kid what they learned at school today.
But that's exactly what they're doing. We saw that book where it's like, you're lying to me, Mom.
People are afraid
do not
to speak up,
encourage your
saying,
kids
right?
to lie to their parents.
Exactly. I think parents don't care about their kids.
Why would you think that? Just because of what you've been told lately?
I was homeschooled.
No.
I was homeschooled
awesome.
before kindergarten, and then I went to I went to a private Catholic school until the end of 5th grade. My parents transferred me to public school for a few years. My grades slipped a little bit. Then, in the first few months of high school, my parents asked what was going on, and when they saw the negative impacts, they immediately pulled us out and homeschooled us again. Because my parents genuinely, in my opinion, cared. And they sent us to school because it's, school. I mean, it's what you do. But they were always very active. We were going, when we were at Catholic school, we were going to mass. And then when we stopped, when we switched to public school, there was a lot less family interaction with the school system. But the reason I would say parents don't care about their kids is that how often have you heard of the trope where the kid says, my teacher hates me, and the parent says, oh, shut up.
Jeez.
You've heard that trope before, right? It's like, no, it's not fair. My teacher hates me. Oh, come on. You're just not doing your work. The point where parents don't trust their own children when they say I'm having problems in school. Not every parent does this. I'm not saying every single parent. I'm saying there are many parents who are like, go to school. I have no idea what they're telling you. I have no idea what you're learning. I have no idea if you're going to be a good person, or you're going to hold my values or have a good life. I have no idea what goes on in that building for those 8 hours or whatever you're there.
I bet it has to do with stress. You know how they say if someone goes out and works 12-hour days and they're exhausted when they get home,
sure.
They have no time to talk about politics. They only care about where the food is, and that's it, the basic life. So if the parent is stressed about money and they're working a job, 2 jobs that can't really even pay the bills, they're going to be too stressed or have this layer of stress that's interfering with their communication with their kids.
They are using school as daycare.
Yes.
That is not a good thing. This is a problem.
I mean, but, don't you think that the public school system wasn't exactly like rosy before this?
Yeah.
It's like based around a factory. There's literally like a bell that's like, go to the next class.
Not good.
So what kind of,
I agree.
Is that the kind of environment that's going to create a critical thinking individual? No, but I think
encourage the employees of Timcast to bring their kids to work as often as they can. And they can hang out and, just, you got to have some parenting. Don't let them spill milk on the carpet or something like that. But not only was I homeschooled, but when my mom opened a coffee shop on the north side of Chicago, which, look, we were like a lower middle class family, and this was like very devastating for my family in terms of loans. It didn't work, and then we went, my family got bankrupt and stuff like that. But when my mom opened a coffee house, I was 9 years old and I had to go work there. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting around next to a bunch of adults talking politics.
Yeah, that's true.
I was getting exposed to the real world. So it's
they're treating you like an adult. They're not treating
Yes.
you like, oh, hello, little guy, we need to cuddle you because
right. They were treating me like an adult, and to an extent, they were treating me like an adult.
Yeah.
It's like when you're working, they wouldn't be like, oh, it's so cute that you're trying to wash the dishes. They'd be like, can you finish the dishes? Because we've got a bunch of orders coming in. We need these mugs.
You know what, though? That can go overboard because I'm just laughing as you're saying this because you want to know why I always super glue myself instead of getting stitches and going to the hospital? Jeez. It's because when I was like 6 years old, my dad was like, all right, let's go do my weekend rounds at the hospital. Oh. He's like, let's go meet with this guy. And I'll never forget. I walk into this room and the guy's like in a full cast, like his whole body. It was like almost like out of a cartoon. Like his arms are in a full cast. He's like all the way up to his neck. And he's like, hey, doc, how you doing? And Dad's like, hold on one sec. Rich, I got this guy, an industrial air conditioner fell on him 2 days ago.
Man.
He's like, I feel great, doc. And thanks.
2 days
I was
ago?
like, I never want to go to the hospital ever. That was it for me.
The socialization that I got growing up was very much from a lot of adults in the workplace, like real world interactions. And so I look at what's happening to previous generation's kids, the current generation's kids. I mean, think about this. What do kids need to be exposed to live good, healthy, fulfilling lives? They need to understand how to lead good, healthy, fulfilling lives. But we have kids raise each other. The parents take the kid and they put him in the school. The teacher mindlessly drones along with half glazed over eyes going, turn to page 7. And the kids are sharing notes with each other. The kids are all raising each other, man. It's no surprise to me that we're seeing cultural decay when millennials in many ways grew up going to schools where the teachers mostly don't care about them. Their parents mostly don't know what's going on in these schools. The kids are going out to parties and teaching each other things. So yeah, you get like a Lord of the Flies type scenario. These kids grow up, they get power, and then it's just like, who's got the conch bashing people over the head? I grew up surrounded by people working jobs and working in businesses, and here I am running a business. you know?
Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that because I got major Lord of the Flies vibes when I was in the Chaz.
Yes.
It was like the kids leading the kids.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
that's why they don't understand what work is, where money comes from. They're just like, I swear, I was arguing with people who are pro UBI, and I gave the simple argument of, if you don't make stuff, there is no stuff. And they were like, what are you talking about? Like, there's stuff in stores. And then I was like, yeah, but somebody had to make that stuff. And they're like, what do you mean? It's just there. And I was like, no way, dude.
What?
Are you legit telling me you don't know what supply chain is? I actually had an argument with someone who told me the electricity was just there in the walls.
That's actually Mark Levin. He has a great, I forget which book it is. He's written so many books. But he basically tracks the supply chain of a pencil.
That's cool.
Just a graphite
Yes,
pencil.
the pencil, yeah.
And how complex, how many different sources of manufacturers, et cetera, and how hard it is to collectivize that and centrally plan it, rather than just allow basically the marketplace to figure out how to make that supply chain work.
You can't centralize it. That's why communism doesn't work. But you look at these young people, what happens? They're placed in institutionalized learning facilities by their parents without a thought. They then have a teacher who tells them what to do and when to do it, and they say, okay, it's food time. They walk in the room and there's food. And then they go home. Their whole lives. And you've got people who go to school till 22 or 24. Their entire lives. Some of these kids never had a job in their life. They have no idea what production is. So when they get out of school, they're simply like, where is the authority figure telling me what to do and giving me food? So they demand the government do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're voting for right now. And if parents wanted their kids to be successful, to be able to survive, to have their values, they would be communicating with them every day. They'd be working with them. And very much to a great degree, taking them out of these schools. When you get these 4-year-olds who are being given these cult surveys about creepy stuff, you shouldn't be asking kids. Or there was that one teacher who was playing the video for kids about how to, take care of business on your own. We keep it family friendly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
How to yerk it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Huh.
It wasn't a how-to. It was just this happens to occur. If
you're talking about that cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
creepy,
really
right?
Weird.
It was really weird. But think about the
weird.
parents.
Yeah.
Think about the parents who were like, I had no idea they were doing it to my kids. Now, when parents found out about it, they freaked out.
Well, plus, don't you think it's also, I don't know, there's a certain corruptive factor of having the internet, like, literally here that, if we're talking about Lord of the Flies, the loss of innocence that happens to a 10-year-old kid the moment that they go to the website that their buddy told them. Like, I had to download it off Napster. I was like, all right, 4 days later, I got this 30-second, video of, or whatever. I stole this song that has swears in it.
Early 90s CompuServe, and it's like, this song will download in 14 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, 2 kilobits per second. The
or you
children
find the
won't know
box
that
of
struggle.
magazines or whatever,
Oh, the box
in like
of
your,
magazines, yeah.
your uncle's closet, and like that's your moment of loss of innocence.
In South America, it's still 2 kilobits a second in the jungle.
Jeez.
Not with Starlink. When that comes global.
Time is relative.
Have you ever seen The Time Machine?
The movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or read the book?
I read the book.
Yeah, you know how like he goes to the far future and there's like the one super intelligent guy and then a bunch of the like cavemen, and they're 2 distinct species now?
Yeah.
That's basically what's happening. You look at these tech elites, the foods they eat, the way they live their lives, the things they have access to, and the things regular people do, the way they live their lives and the way they have access to. It really just feels like, take a look at their kids. Mm-hmm. The children of the tech elites do not have phones or internet, tablets. They don't give it to them. Mm-hmm. I wonder why. Mark Zuckerberg tapes the camera and microphone on his computer up.
Yeah.
He knows what's in the sausage.
That's right. Mm-hmm. It's like they know Soylent Green is people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Everybody else is eating it with a smile on their face. They're like, don't look at me. I'm not eating that stuff. I don't want encephalopathy or whatever. Encephalitis, whatever it's called.
I mean, I think that's what can be that's what I take from the last year, which is like, you see the everything that we're talking about right now, it manifests itself on the streets with these sad, desperate people who are out there because they're desperate. And whatever side of the political spectrum they're on, they're desperate because they feel like the system has failed them, and probably because it has. And nobody's addressing that. Nobody's addressing the actual. Everybody says it's either systemic racism or it's cancel culture, but nobody's like, whoa, hold on, this is just 2 different hands of the same issue here.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out. and we'll see you all next time.